Hello you guys, and welcome back to another video. It is Michaela Anderson, and I'm so happy to see you guys again. As you might have noticed, I am in a new location. I was dealing with some really unfortunate housing insecurity, and when I first came up here to San Francisco, where I now live, I was unhoused for the first 95 days, living out of my car. I'm finally in an apartment, still working. I'm now in school, but what is most important is that we're in an apartment. Today's video is about Get Out. Now, I will be the first to say that I have not seen Get Out. I've never watched it or anything like that. Get Out centers around Chris. Chris is our main character. I kept wanting to call him Daniel for some reason, but that's not his name. His name is Chris. He is a photographer, and he is going to go meet his girlfriend's family for the first time. His white girlfriend's family for the first time. And on that weekend, Chris finds out that the family is tied into some really dark stuff, which includes the abduction and killing of other Black people in the area so that they're able to, one, put them in a hypnosis state, which is the sunken place, to then take a white person's consciousness who has then paid them to do that, and they would take a white person's consciousness, put them in a Black person so that they can be stronger, faster, more beautiful. And Rose is part of the plot. So Rose is a person who seeks out the victims through dating them and having relationships with them. And Jeremy is like the muscle of the operation. So he grabs the people, he holds them hostage, he is violent towards them. The mom is the one who does the hypnosis to keep the Black person sedated. And the dad is really medically inclined, so he's the one who does the procedure to put said white person's consciousness into these abducted Black people. So it's a whole family-run business and operation, and it's a service they provide to upper-class, rich, white people. So the mom uses the teacup, like the physical action of her having a teacup in hand and stirring. And for me, what it looks like is she's like just stirring the sugar in her tea. The specific action of her stirring, like stirring the sugar in the tea for you to then go into that trance. And that's how she was able to take control of all of these Black people. That is the rhythmic sound that she uses to be able to put Black people in a sunken place. Sugar was used to enslave a bunch of people. Like, that is literally one of the resources that were used in the Atlantic slave trade. One of the reasons why the slave trade was even so profitable was because of like how addicted people were to tea, because you don't have tea. Most people don't have tea without sugar. So sugar was a big part of the slave trade. And for her to use something that's was also like a status symbol, because tea was also like a status symbol for like the wealthy, British people as well. That's how they were able to differentiate themselves from like more poor people, is having tea. And then she's drinking the tea in the blue china, which is also like another status symbol as well, to kind of like quietly say like her position in the world, and using that to continue the abuse and enslavement of other Black people. Because to be put in the sunken place, it's like, it is kind of like a metaphor for slavery, because it's like you're in your body but you have no control. And that's literally like what it was to be a slave. It's like you have no control over where you go, you have no control over what you do, you have no control over anything. Like, you are just like a passenger. Tea within itself, a lot of people see it as like this really calming and like this really like feel good thing, but tea within itself is like such like symbolism for violence. Like, you think about even like the Boston Tea Party and things like that. Like, tea has such a complicated history within itself. Like, tea has ties to slavery, tea has ties to colonialism, imperialism, like all these different types of things. And I just think it was just so interesting on Jordan Peele's part to use the teacup and just the stirring of the tea and everything as like kind of like the pocket watch that, you know, would hypnotize people, because it is such like a nuanced symbol. Even like capitalism too, like to get tea on your table, like that's a lot of things that go into that, right? So, but it's seen as like this like really holistic, beautiful drink. I mean, I love tea. This is not on tea, but I just think like when you really sit and you think about it, like it's just so interesting. Racism was a side effect of the slave trade, because they had to produce rhetoric and they had to produce marketing and all these different types of things, campaigns, propaganda, whatever you want to call it, to even like using the Bible, right?
They had to figure out, how can we promote liberty, freedom, democracy on the one hand, and a system of slavery and exploitation of peoples who are non-white on the other.
And the way you do that is to say, yeah, but you know, there's something different about these people. This whole business of inalienable rights, that's fine, but it only applies to certain people.
The moment when we become a nation is critical for our understanding of both American nationality and race. We accept the notion that all men are created equal, but then perhaps some of those people who are enslaved are not quite men. That is, we'll keep our ideas of American nationality, but we'll write certain people out of the human family.
They had to use all these things because at the end of the day, like the slave trade was a business. Like the reason why, you know, the British military was able to colonize and like impede on so many people, a lot of it did have to do with tea and sugar and the slave trade. It was like, because it was just like so marketable and it made like so much money for them, right? And so like when you think about how they were able to like make slavery like an understandable, necessary evil, there had to be racism. There had to be a feeling of superiority. They had to be like oh, this is what they were made for. Like Black people were made to be, you know, a second class race, like all these different types of things, so that people will be comfortable with it and continue to be able to make money off of it. Because at the end of the day, like that is what slavery was. Slavery was like an enterprise. Slavery was like a business model for a lot of people.
As African slavery increased, lower class Europeans won new rights and opportunities. Some even became overseers and bounty hunters responsible for policing the growing slave population.
The ordinary white people are not going to be complicit in this system unless they get something out of it. My belief is that payoff was in a certain status, prestige, recognition, ego enhancement that ordinary white people could derive from racism. And so there was a kind of bargain struck.
Many of the European-descended poor whites began to identify themselves, if not directly with the rich whites, certainly with being white. And here you get the emergence of this idea of a white race as a way to distinguish themselves from those dark-skinned people who they associate with perpetual slavery.
Slavery became identified with Africans. Blackness and slavery went together. They gave the white American the idea that Africans were a different kind of people.
There's a racial divide emerging that people begin to see as natural, and that's part of where the idea of race comes from, is just in the tendency for people to see existing power relationships as having some sort of natural quality to them.
And it was also how they got political power, right? Through like money to like have military and to be able to impose on other countries and nations and stuff like that. So the symbolism of the tea is very, very heavy, especially like in the modern day. Like to symbolize another form of slavery, the continuation of like abducting people. It's like the same formula as slavery, like picking up people and enslaving them, because like to be in a sunken place, you are like trapped. You don't have a way out, right? So I thought that that was very, very well done, and I thought that was very symbolic of like how it is. I want to talk a little bit more about the ending scene. The ending scene where the police pull up. Chris has just killed everyone in the house, and when he went to go kill the dad had like kicked down the candlestick so that whole house like caught on fire, so that it was like burning the evidence as well. At the end, he's like over the body of Rose, preparing to kill her, and a cop car pulls up. And I think the significance of this, because again, this is a horror movie, and what was really telling is if you watch any horror movie, like Scream, for example, that's a horror movie I really enjoy because it's not like really horror. It's very like comedic, and I feel like it's much more my speed. But I remember for a fact, every single time I see a Scream movie, when you start to see like the flashing blue and red lights, that usually is a symbol that everything is going to be okay, and like whoever is still alive will be alive because the police are coming to save the day, so you don't have anything to worry about. Like usually that is a point of comfort, that is a point of like exhale, that's a point of relief. And when I was watching Get Out, I felt the exact opposite. I just felt like my whole body drop, because I'm like, the optics are so terrible. You have Chris literally choking out this white woman. You have the police car there. You have no evidence back at the house because it was burned down. Essentially a horror film for Black people, because it's like he said, she said situation. And of course, if Rose is saying, oh, he killed me and he's trying to kill me and do all these things, they're going to be more inclined to believe Rose, period, because of her privilege. So in this horror film, having the police show up is not really going to help anything. It's really going to actually make it worse, especially since we already seen like how the police reacted to Chris early on in the movie. So I was like, damn, like this is like the worst case scenario, right? And thankfully, you know, the door opens and we see TSA, so we know that it's Rod, and we know that it's gonna be okay after all. I was seeing some interviews, and it was interesting that in the original ending, the ending that Jordan Peele wrote, he was fully intending for it to be just a regular cop. Chris would get arrested and he would be, you know, in jail for the murder of, you know, all these people. Damn. And what's sad about that is the reason why he changed the ending was because he felt like people needed a hero, and he felt like people needed something to root for versus a more realistic ending. What's sad about that is like how realistic that would have been. Like cops would have got to the scene and would have most likely arrested Chris, even though he's the victim in all of this. When I reflect on the ending scene and Rose gets right into character and she tries to play like she is the victim in the situation, and that Chris is the person who is, you know, trying to kill her, brutalize her, etc., etc. And even like how the ending of the movie was supposed to be with Chris going to jail, I can't help but reflect on a speech that Dr. Malcolm X gave. And I want to go ahead and share that with you guys now. So this was the speech. So the speech was given in 1963 at Cornhill Methodist Church in Rochester, New York. And this speech that Malcolm X gave was to address how the press was used to project racist imagery about Black people, and how dangerous that was to the Black community, by racists being able to control the narrative and being able to characterize Black behavior by their own biases and pass that along as truth. And that's how all Black people are. And this is what he had to say about that. They accuse us of what they themselves are guilty of. This is what the criminal always does. They'll bomb you, then accuse you of bombing yourself. They'll crush your skull, then accuse you of attacking him. This is what racists have always done. The criminal, the one who has criminal processes developed to a science, their practice is criminal action. And then use the press to make you the victim look like the victim is the criminal and the criminal is the victim. This is how they do it. So even with Jordan Peele changing the ending, he really did get the best of both worlds, because anyone watching that movie still felt the weight of the original ending and still knew the implications. And that, my friends, is why I knew I needed to watch this movie, because like that is just so, one, amazing how he's able to get his point across, because the fact that the audience was the one to fill in the blanks of that is exactly what the point of the movie is that racism still exists and it's still affecting Black people to this day. And it still has real life implications to this day. The fact that we can't pick up the phone and expect the same care and response and help as white people is the literal symptom of racism still being alive and well to this day. The fact that like you still have to be worried about whether or not, one, you're gonna be believed, two, if justice is gonna be served, and optics, like you're literally fighting for your life and you have to be worried about optics. Like the optics of a Black man being over a white woman with a gun and blood, and the fact that you have to worry about that is what Jordan Peele is saying. Like that is literally what Jordan Peele is saying. Because this movie was made, according to him, like, because we were in like this, you know, Obama was president, everyone thought that racism was over with. So the movie was to show that like, no, like racism still exists. And it never really like went anywhere, right? And that's really heavy, and that's really hard to deal with. And it's the fact that it's not just Black people who came to that conclusion. It was also people from all different types of races being like, oh crap, but the cops are here. I don't know if Chris is going to get a happy ending. A good artist is someone who's able to start that dialogue and start that conversation. And that's why I think Get Out is such a good movie. And I'm really happy that I finally watched it, and that I can now say that I have watched Get Out. So if you're still here, you're a real one. And comment down below the first time you watched Get Out, if you have seen it, and give me some of your thoughts and opinions. Like, what has really resonated with you? Tell me about some of your theories down below, because I would like to continue the conversation about this movie, even though I'm extremely late to the party. Because I think it's a good conversation to have, and it's a conversation that I want to keep having, because I think that it's important. So comment down below. If you like this video, give it a like, because that really helps the algorithm. It really helps push the video to other people so that other people can join the conversation. And if you liked my video on this topic, consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. I would love to have you guys here. I'm trying to do a lot more movie content, a lot more book content, just a lot more of this type of content, because I do enjoy movies so much, and I spend a good chunk of my time watching movies and television shows and things like that. And so I want to keep watching films and talking about things that I like about films, talking about things that I don't like too much about films, and giving my take on it. So yeah, if you're into this, please let me know, because I would love any and every excuse to keep making videos like this. And without further ado, I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for your time and deciding to spend it with me. And I'll see you guys in my next video.